The bipartisan commission the president tasked with developing a proposal to eliminate the nation's $1.3 trillion deficit will meet tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. At that time, the National Commission on Fiscal Responsibility and Reform will discuss the revised Simpson-Bowles recommendations in preparation for a Friday vote. 14 of the 18 members must approve the proposal for it to go to Congress. Congress would then decide to turn some or all of the recommendations into law. My next guest, Democratic Senate Majority Whip Dick Durbin, is a member of that commission. He was also in the room for this morning's meeting between the president and congressional leadership. Senator Durbin, thank you for joining us. On Meet the Press this weekend, you said that people should watch C-SPAN, C-SPAN 2 to be specific, and ask for refunds because they see the United States Senate doing nothing. Are you any more optimistic about what we will be watching now when we watch the Senate after today's meeting with the president?
A little bit, but not much. I'd say it was a good meeting. You know, the president brought together the leadership, Democrats, Republicans, House and Senate, the major people, Vice President, the head of the budget office, and so it was a good, positive atmosphere. And the president started off in a conciliatory tone, saying, I didn't meet with you all as much as I should have in the last 2 years. I'm going to change that in the coming 2 years, and let's start today. He suggested that we deal with the thorny problem of the tax cuts by delegating a group to sit down and start hammering out some kind of compromise on it. I think it was a positive meeting.
Now, you've known Senator Mitch McConnell a long time. You know him well. How would you characterize his demeanor in the meeting? Did you think there was any cause for hope that Senator McConnell, who has vowed as his political objective to take out President Barack Obama, to end this presidency, did you see any indication that Senator McConnell would be willing to hold hands and make any kind of progress with President Obama?
Well, I'm an optimist. I think that moment of candor by Senator McConnell where he said his goal in the next 2 years is to make sure that President Obama isn't reelected was a moment of honest candor. But, you know, we all overspeak sometimes and want to amend our remarks. And today he was positive, and I think Senator Kyle was as well. I think it's the beginning of at least the opportunity for a positive working relationship.
Now, you are also a member of the President's National Commission on Fiscal Responsibility and Reform, otherwise now known as the Deficit Commission. Some very controversial ideas being floated in the Deficit Commission. Do you think that the Deficit Commission that you're on will be able to come out with a report supported by at least 14 of the 18 members?
Well, it's a big ask to get 14 out of 18, as you know from your years on Capitol Hill. And particularly when you look at the partisan breakdown here, it doesn't take many people to make this deal fall apart. I think all the time that we spend it, months together, some of the most progressive, some of the most conservative members, we've really come to grips with the challenge that faces us. We borrow 40 cents out of every dollar that we spend, and we borrow most of it from China. And as they become bigger and bigger mortgagors to the United States of America, we lose some of our economic freedom in the future. So the day of reckoning is coming. We know it. If we face it now, it's a lesser task than later on. And we see what happens in Ireland and Greece and maybe Portugal, and understand that even countries that we respect can get into trouble if they're not serious. So, yes, the bottom line answer is we have a chance to put together 14 votes. We'll be working on it again tomorrow.
Now, I've been in some of those meetings in the White House with the senators and the leadership, and it's not just what happens in the room. Sometimes there are moments as you're walking down the hall, making your way out to the driveway, where you actually exchange a few afterthoughts about what's happened. In the totality of the experience, Senator, and in thinking about your Republican Senate counterparts in the meeting and Senator McConnell, do you get any sense of what the shape of a tax bill might look like coming out of the Senate now? What form of compromise might be workable in the Senate to get 60 votes, Democrats and Republicans, more than 60 probably, on what the tax rates will be for 2011?
Well, Lawrence, let me tell you, you're spot on, and you understand that what happens beyond the formal meeting that people have heard about really makes a difference. And in this particular experience today was unique. We met in the Roosevelt Room, beautiful room, and we had our staff people in there and a larger group. And when it ended, the president said, I'd like to ask the members to come to my private dining room right off the Oval Office. And we went in there, and they'd set out coffee cups and cookies for us, so clearly he'd planned this in advance. And there we were in a tight group, group, just of the congressmen and senators and the president and vice president, and we sat down and had a more candid conversation. We talked about where this is going. Now, nobody gave away any positions. No one reached a compromise. But I thought it was a president entrusting us with a little more personal confidentiality than most would expect. And I think that that's going to sit well with all of us to realize that he is investing so much personally in trying to move us forward. Do I know what the final deal is going to look like? If there'll be one, no, I don't. But today we started in serious conversation with Larry Summers and Timothy Geithner and the leaders' choices at the table to come up with that agreement.
And to the START treaty, which is the sole business of the Senate, the House has nothing to do with approving treaties. What headway did you make in discussing the START treaty today?
Well, in this respect, John Kyle said, I'm not going to say I would vote against the treaty, not going to say I oppose the treaty. I'm just going to say I need some time to debate it, and I don't see how we can reach that unless we can satisfy the issues relative to taxes and spending. Well, that's a big ask, and it can take some time. If we have a breakthrough on those two issues, I still think we have the time to get this done before Christmas. This is important. As I said the other day, we live in a dangerous world, and the longer we wait to ratify that treaty in the United States Senate, the more we put our country at risk, and I believe that. Now we have a treaty before us, a good one, supported by Democrats and Republicans, 18 different hearings, and I think one that will make us safer as a nation and engage Russia in a positive way with the United States. Let's not miss this opportunity.
Senator Dick Durbin, always the optimist. Thank you very much for your time tonight, Senator.
Thanks, Lawrence.